Good afternoon, everyone. Or actually, I should say good morning because we're starting 1 hour earlier, folks, at 11 a.m. rather than the regular 12 p.m. Obviously, we're doing that only today because there is the Jeff Keighley event that goes live at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, I'm going to be covering that. I'm not doing a live stream of it because there's a lot of other podcasts that are doing that. I'm going to be sitting back with my popcorn, with my drink, and watching it and taking notes because we're going to be going over everything tomorrow morning on Breakfast with Boom. Wilmy Hood is going to be joining us, and we might have one other guest, but right now it's Wilmy Hood, and we're going to be breaking down everything that was unveiled at Jeff's big show, basically Jeff's answer to E3, and I think he's going to deliver. Obviously, he is an industry star, at least in my opinion. A lot of people don't dig Jeff, and though I have publicly said that I don't always agree with some of the tactics that he uses, I do say that he is something and someone that the industry needs, and I'm actually happy to say has, because he does love gaming as much as we all do. And even though he wears his, love for, PlayStation on his sleeve, like a lot of us do for other Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation, he is good for the industry, and I cannot wait to see what he brings to the table. But let's get into the quick introductions. This is a massive panel, folks. It's not as big as my brothers, the Iron Lords, who has just completely blown everyone away. Their 5-hour cast this past Sunday, I was proud to be a part of. They had a monster panel. It was one of the best episodes I think that they've ever put out personally. And if you missed it, my God, you need to definitely go over to the Iron Lords podcast and check that out. But let's start with the guests first. Pong Soul, you're normally here on Tuesdays, but you took some time off for work. Shame on you. But now you're back for the Thursday. And this is a big one to be a part of because it's our prediction show. How the heck are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Boom. Thank you so much for the invite. I missed being here Tuesday. E3 hype has grabbed a hold of me, and I has so much that I wanted to talk about. And I've been listening to all these great podcasts, and you invited me today, and I had to jump in here. And first of all, we were listening to Professor Joe trying to give us some kind of history lesson behind the scenes. So I didn't get a chance to say hi to N64, Josh, VJ, Archimedes, 3-Bit. Great to see you guys all this morning. You jumped in there in the middle of his dramatic speech that he had going on. So anyways, it's great to see everybody here today. Even though Zemi is here as well, I thought I got rid of him on Tuesdays, but guess what? Here he is again. But you know what? It's great to be here with all you guys. Love you all. And chat, great to be here with you. So I can't wait to talk about these topics, Boom, because it is E3 hype time.
Yeah, it certainly is. And of course, Zemi Games, who is normally also a part of the Tuesday show, has taken the time to be here. He'll be back next week at his regular seat. Had some, school business to take care of, obviously. But Zemi, we cannot wait to hear what you have to say about some of the big topics. Welcome.
Yeah, no, I had to come back for E3, right? I mean, like what type of podcaster would I be, or gaming podcaster would I be if I didn't make a return for the pre-E3 show, right? So super excited to be here. Don't want to talk too much because we have a lot of people, we have a lot of topics to cover, but I'm super excited to be here. Can't wait to talk about our speculations and what we kind of expect out of this year's E3.
No, well, listen, it's great to have you back. Joe, let's get to you. Yeah, Professor Joe. Loved what you had to say. I'm going to be honest with you. It was very deep, very informative. I don't necessarily
don't tell him that.
I don't think it's going to happen, but welcome to the program, brother. I hope that, it's funny. You came into the podcast this morning and you said, guys, I'm dying here. I am dead. But you know what? After the rant that you just went on, I think you're ready for this podcast. Welcome.
I don't know about that. I maybe it's I've been listening to a lot of Left, Right, and Center recently, and that's what I was listening to, but when I was editing, and so that's why I was like, you know what? Let me get my little like sweater on. Let me get my little monocle. I'm going to be a professor this evening, so. I'm tired. I'm dying. There's a new trophy room episode. Check that out. Let's get into it.
Yeah, you know what, dude? It's great to have you. Obviously, one of the most important things for this E3 for Xbox is Halo. It's your most anticipated game of the year. And this is coming from someone who has a PlayStation podcast, folks. So that's how important Halo is. It still is. But let's continue the introductions. N64 Josh, welcome to the program, brother. You are now a permanent member here. How the heck are you? And welcome.
I'm so good, and I don't know, like, how that happened, but here I am, permanent member. So glad to be here. So excited to talk Xbox. Some great topics this morning. It's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it's good. And you know what? How it happened, Josh? You're honest. You're fun. You talk about the topics in a thought progressing kind of a way, and I think that you're going to bring a tremendous amount of worth to the shows we do each and every week. So glad to have you, brother, and welcome once again. Next up, VJ. This is the gentleman that I think we're all waiting to hear. Not only because is he a personal linguist, not only because he is been a part of this industry both at retail and in development, but he has also quite funny in a very low-key kind of way. VJ, welcome to the program.
Morning, Boom. Morning, everybody in the panel and the chat. Let's do this, Boom.
Well, listen, short and sweet. We love it. And we can't wait to hear what you have to say. And last and no way least, I call him Boxer Bear. You know him as Archie is Hyped. Archimedes, welcome, brother. You made it on time.
I made it on time. Yeah, earlier this day, the car of my wife broke down, and so I had to pick up the kids from sports class. I was in a rush, but I made it just in time for this amazing show. I mean, we have a stellar panel here today. We have, as always, an amazing chat, and we have the kickoff of E3 week later. Even though the Summer Game Fest isn't under the E3 umbrella, I know it still feels like the kickoff of the amazing E3 week. I'm super excited, not just for our show today. There is so much content I have planned for the next days for my channel, and I'll be guesting on so many other podcasts. Of course, the big one on Sunday with you here, Boom. It's so exciting to be a gamer right now. I couldn't be more hyped.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. Listen, folks, podcasts or your favorite podcasters, everyone that is anyone is going to be doing something. Obviously, I'm doing something. Everyone on the panel is doing something in one way or another. Obviously, you only have 2 ears, right? You only have 2 sets of eyes, unless you wear glasses like I do, and you have 4. But I just want to, real quick, before we get into the opening news, the breaking news for Xbox, I'm going to flash on the screen what Double Barrel Gaming will be delivering for E3 2021. Here is the complete coverage schedule. Obviously, Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're kicking off with the Xbox Bethesda pre-show event. We're going to be watching it live as a watch party, and then, of course, doing a post-show breakdown. Primetime Gaming is going to be Monday, June 14th, biggest panel I ever put together. And here are some of the guest folks: Cognito from the Iron Lords, Tim Dog from RDX, and the host of RDX, Dealer Gaming, will be joining us to break down in real time exactly what happened on Sunday, along with the Primetime Gaming cast. Then, of course, on Tuesday, I'm going to be covering the Nintendo Direct event that goes live at pre-show at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, of course, Wednesday, midweek, we're doing the E3 update podcast, where we're going to get you up to date in a full 2-hour show of all the big news, and we're going to be breaking that down. And, of course, Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast, well, it's self-explanatory. That goes live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And finally, when I drop dead from doing 6 podcasts in a row, Breakfast with Boom is going to be talking about our favorite moments of the week. And that is going to be Friday morning, June 18th, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And folks, what can I say then? OMG, what a morning. I literally was presented with so much news that I actually felt overwhelmed. I felt like I was struggling to give my words, but you know what? I am a good speaker. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I know how to get the people hyped. And we're going to start with Flight Simulator. That's right. The Xbox Flight Simulator, the date has been leaked, releasing on June 15th. That's right, folks. This Tuesday, And that comes to us from GameStop, originally in Ireland, but that has now been confirmed by GameStop USA to be releasing on the 15th for the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. That is going to be a 90+ meta game. It's one of the games that may not be an over-the-shoulder type of game that I want, but certainly a game that many people in the community are going to want to play because of its lifelike and realistic graphics, and of course, Xbox Game Pass day and date. Now,
Oh, come on. Who doesn't want to fly over his own house with
who does not want to fly
photorealistic
over
graphics?
New Rochelle,
Oh.
New York? Well, I certainly am going to fly. I don't know if I'm ever going to land. I think we're going to crash for sure. So don't get in the plane with BoomStick. Definitely bring a parachute for sure. But that's not the only news, folks. Phil Spencer and head of Xbox, Satya Nadella, dropped the gauntlets this morning on a video that was about just under 2 minutes long, explaining that they are here for the long haul. But see, that is not where it ends. According to our very good friends at the VGC, of course, videogameschronicles.com, they've been posting one article after another, and Matt Booty had some interesting things to say, and it says simply this: Xbox says it will continue to buy studios and wants to release games with an S every quarter. Matt Booty, I quote, says Microsoft will aim to grow its portfolio as Game Pass grows. And I'm going to have that article if in the show notes if you want to check it out for yourself. That's not where it ends, folks. More news. In that Satya Nadella, Phil Spencer interview, it was proposed that not only is Xbox going to be basically on every TV, but a stick and controller are going to be releasing. That's right, a stick that you plug into your TV and makes your TV basically an Xbox. And we've talked about that. Zemi talked about it last year. I talked about it last year. Phil alluded to it last year. And folks, I got news for you. If this comes to fruition, if they are able to change those server blades at Project xCloud to all Series X or S blades, I think it's console war over. Because it's not going to be about how many consoles you sell. It's going to be basically Xbox will become literally the next Netflix. Every device that you have will somehow or another, in a way, be able to play an Xbox game. And that is just pure madness. But of course, listen, folks, like I said, this panel is too big to get into everyone's opinion. So we have to go right to topic number one. And, you know, I got to be honest with you. When I put this together, being a part of the Iron Lords, prediction show, they had incredible topics, of course, written solely by Cognito himself. And I took some of them and I kind of reworded some things because I had different ways of how I wanted to ask the questions that I'm going to ask the panel. And I also added my own topics to this. Now, we only have about 4 of them, and there's a 5th bonus one. But like I said, this is a big panel. Some people are going to be popping in and out, because they may have to go. But listen, topic number 1, folks, we got to get into the leadership. Now, the wrong leadership can cause massive amounts of PR damage. And that is exactly what happened to start the Xbox One generation. But Phil Dominus Maximus Aurelius Spencer said his ultimate promotion to when he got his ultimate promotion to the right hand of Satya Nadella, he has delivered on the promises of fixing Xbox. And I think he's done an incredible job. I got to get the panel's opinion. I'm going to start with Zemi Games. Zemi, has he answered the call of being the right leader for Xbox?
Yeah, no, absolutely he has. I mean, like the proof is in the pudding. You know, look at 2013, look at now. It's a night and day difference. And so for sure, Phil, his leadership has impacted the Xbox. Not just the company, the brand, and the idea behind Xbox so tremendously. And of course, their business model, their strategy going into this next generation had a huge impact on that. But not just Phil, right? A lot of the times we like to talk about Phil because he's kind of the face of Xbox, but I think sometimes we might get a little bit ahead of ourselves and forget all of the hundreds, thousands of people that work at Xbox that put in just as much work as Phil Spencer does, and so it honestly is a team effort. But for sure, Phil's leadership, his ideology, his vision of where the brand, where the company should go, has had a tremendous impact on Xbox for sure, 100%.
Well, look, and I'm glad you actually said that, because as a host, there's something that I forgot to mention. As magnificent as I believe Phil Spencer is as a person, as a gamer, as an industry leader, there are a lot of people under him that make the cogs turn. And I say that about you all the time, that you being a part of the shows, you keep the show running. And there are a lot of the people that you'll never know. Like, we know who Sarah Bond is. We know who Aaron Greenberg and Larry Herb and Matt Booty, right? These are front-facing people that not only work directly with the community, but constantly are interacting with the community. But there are hundreds, and if not, like Zimmy said, thousands of people that make Xbox what it is. But the truth of the matter is, without the proper leadership, this can go seriously wrong. And we saw that with Terry, the human roadblock Myerson. He nearly killed Xbox because of his poor leadership. And I can go on about other people that have left. Good old Donnie D basically told you that if you didn't want an Xbox One, he had a console for you, and it was the Xbox 360. Wow. And he was getting paid six figures. Well, if Xbox is hiring, you can pay me the six figures, and I can guarantee you that will never happen. But Joe, the marketing manager of the podcast,
what up?
I got to grab your opinion on this, brother. Has Phil Spencer, when answered the call, has he made good on his promises?
Yeah. In short, yeah. I think what we've seen today as well with all the announcements is pretty much what happens when a CEO backs their visionary. And I think
Great point,
I
Joe.
don't
Great
I
point.
don't want to stroke anyone's ego, especially CEOs, but I got to give it up. Like as much as I love and respect, or not love and respect. Sorry, respect. Like Steve Jobs. I don't praise him or anything like that. But he was a visionary, and he saw things differently, and he saw how the industry could be in 10 years, and creating that plan of here's how we're going to be the first to it, and strike oil here. And I think that's what we see with Satya, with Phil, is Satya is the parent giving the kid the allowance. How much allowance, how much faith you have to have in that leadership. It kind of goes to show that not only did he course correct that boat, but he had a vision that Satya saw as well, saw that they could be ahead of the curve, and said, you know what, let's invest in the future, because what you said is completely right. Console war, first off, is always stupid, but counting consoles has always been kind of, if you really think about it, an archaic way of looking at
really
success.
Is. Yes. Yeah.
And really just them changing the conversation from the get-go. And it's not about this, it's dumb, stop counting consoles. It's really about how many people can we get onto a service to have that recurring income. And yeah, seeing them invest in that future is always really awesome to see. So for me, yeah, he's done a fine job, man.
Yeah, and I definitely appreciate that coming from your opinion as well. And I think you're onto something. Listen, Joe, you and I have talked about this, I think, almost to the point of nauseum. When you look at the three companies, they are traveling shoulder to shoulder. One's going left, one's going right, and one's staying center. But you know something? They're all doing the same thing in their own way. And I think Microsoft will continue. Look, we understand that Sony is putting out these incredible, very expensive worlds that people love, and I'm one of them. We also understand that Microsoft is heading in that direction, but they are also using streaming.
Yeah.
They're also using Game Pass and everything else that they have put together since Phil took over. And Nintendo, well, Nintendo is always going to be Nintendo, and you know
Who
something?
knows what they're doing?
Always going to be okay. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? Let's get Boxer Bear, Archie, as Pong would say, and Pong, we'll get to you next, brother. Has Phil, in your opinion, as an Xbox, not exclusive, because you obviously own multiple consoles, but as someone who prefers Xbox to be your platform of choice, for you as a customer, as a gamer, as an Xbox quote unquote guy, has Phil Spencer delivered on his promise from 2017?
For sure. I think we rarely have those leaders that are true visionaries, that have a plan that lasts longer than to bring the next quarterly earning report in order. We see a lot in a lot of companies, even outside of the gaming business. We see CEOs acting like with a real short-term vision. Yeah, they do some stuff that brings and makes the next earnings call a good one, but there's no vision for where the company wants to be in 5 years, in 10 years. And I think this is what Phil really has done so well over the last years, even before 2017, when he started to take over. He had a vision. He had something in mind that, with what he was able to convince the leadership board at Microsoft to promote him, to make gaming a fundamental pillar of Microsoft, because they haven't been that before. They were that funny department within the big Microsoft organization, but with Phil's promotion, and he wouldn't have gotten that promotion if he wouldn't have been able to lay out a proper vision to Satya and the board, the management board. He with that promotion, gaming suddenly became a fundamental part of the company, and to achieve something like that is incredible. We've seen how Microsoft has changed the gaming space, not just with xCloud, but with services like Game Pass, with a very strong focus on hardware and performance in the console space. We haven't had that before either. Yeah, consoles have never been as powerful as in the start of this generation, and that's because Microsoft pushed the power narrative in the middle of the last generation with the Xbox One X. That it was something different than what Sony was doing with their PlayStation 4 Pro. It was just, okay, the hardware power is important in the console business. Yeah, and that's why we have now the most powerful consoles when compared to the PC space ever. We have more value than ever before. But I think the biggest thing that shows the fantastic leadership skills from Phil is something no one ever talks about. When Phil took over the team at Xbox, the moral and the enthusiasm and the overall mood in the entire team must have been at an ultimate low. After the launch of the Xbox One X, of the Xbox One, the base Xbox One, the team in Redmond must have been down to,
I would say
really,
that I would even say that they were dejected from what happened.
I've never heard that word before, but I believe you. The thing, what I'm saying is, and everyone who has ever been in a leadership role knows that one of the most difficult things is to motivate people. And if an entire team of hundreds of people is demotivated because a couple of leadership decisions from 3 or 4 people within the top hierarchy were absolutely wrong, and their entire hard work for years, because they have been working for years on the Xbox One, went downhill, was destroyed in the press, was destroyed in the public perception, the moral must be so down. And for him to be able to motivate that team again, to push themselves to the limits, to deliver an incredible console in the One X, to go out, take the Xbox gaming division, because like Sammy said, this is nothing Phil can do alone if he doesn't have a proper team behind him. And there are hundreds of people in Redmond working in the Xbox division. Yeah, if he doesn't have that team behind him, he can't do anything. So this is, I think, his biggest accomplishment, to get that team motivated again. And yeah, kudos to him. I think this is the true leadership that we have seen, that he gets a team in Redmond that is now so determined to deliver fantastic games with more than 23 studio, was what we learned today. Yeah, with all these fantastic services, with fantastic hardware. It's just awesome to see a true leadership accomplishment.
I absolutely agree, and I think you're definitely onto something. And yes, that statement that that Archimedes is talking about, that came from the article. More, and it clearly states more than 23 studios worldwide making games. Basically, what that did for me personally is confirm that we are going to get an announcement. And real quick, I got big shout out to our very good friend. I think he's a friend of everybody. And I'm talking about Tim Dog. Tim Dog, he's a straight shooter. Love Tim for his honesty. He will call out Microsoft, and he has. He did something, I don't want to say suspicious. I'm going to say now whether this was a mistake, this was to get the hype train rolling. Maybe he was playing. I don't know. I think I don't think he's a guy that plays. He tweeted 27 studios, then deleted it. I honestly believe, and Pong, we're going to get to Phil in a second, but we were talking privately, and we'll make it public now, that we believe that there are 4 more studios coming to Xbox Game, the Xbox Game Studios. But we won't get into that now, because that's one of the bonus questions that we're going to get to. But Pong, you have watched the industry for quite some time. You yourself are in the industry, not the gaming industry, but an industry that you can see the rise and fall of a company with both poor and proper leadership. For you, has Phil made on with his promises?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to say, as of this moment, for sure. I think when Phil took over, and I think everybody so far has hit on all the key points, but when you take over a position that Phil did that was not respected within a $1 trillion corporation, and a position that was at an all-time low, and possibly to the point of leaving an industry altogether. There's a lot of people who could have just simply given up. But sometimes the right person comes along at the right time. And Phil, we cannot, first of all, his leadership abilities can never be denied again from what he's just accomplished so far. And we're not even talking about what the future looks like. Again, nobody knows the future. Nobody has that crystal ball. Anything could happen. It could all come apart and unravel at any moment. But from what he's built and what we can project on, you got to say his leadership abilities are through the roof. But from the standpoint of him taking over when he did, and being the person that he is, which is a gamer at heart. And we see other CEOs and other leadership positions in other companies within the game industry that does not fit. Right, that not everybody has that in them, but Phil is a gamer at heart. He understands the culture behind gaming, and that cannot be undersold as to the importance as to what he's done. Because when he came in there, he came in with a passion to see Xbox through the roughest of times, and he came in there at a point when, again, other people may have just gone with the flow and just did their best, and then just let it kind of fade away, or maybe Xbox just becomes a publisher of games, or whatever the case was going on at that time. But he came in with a passion, and he understood the importance that Xbox had within the game industry as not a software maker, but also as a hardware maker. And he wanted to see that turn around. And so he came up with this vision. And then, as other people have alluded to, you know, he put people underneath himself. He got people in positions that he could trust, because if you're going to rebuild something like that, you got to have people underneath you. You got to have your second, third commands, people that you can lean on heavily. And he did that with the Sarah Bonds, with the Aaron Greenbergs, with the Matt Booties, all that good stuff. He put those people into positions to succeed if he could get his vision off the ground. And that was his next step, was to get Satya. Now, once, you know, Terry Myerson's and those kind of people got out of the way, Phil had a direct phone, a direct conversation kind of with Satya to prove that his vision could happen. And I think that obviously from what we've seen, he must have done something really big to prove to Satya that this could be done, because this is not a small investment, as we've seen, that you're asking Microsoft, even as a $1 trillion corporation, to undertake, to rebuild from basically scratch, having basically no studios at that point, and saying, hey, we need to go invest heavily. And not only that, but we need to put R&D into our consoles, and we need to bring the console back to become the most powerful console, to be the market leader. We have to go out and just turn every narrative that has been against us so far onto our side. And that's what he obviously accomplished. However he did that. And not only that, Satya thought enough of what he was doing to invite him to the big boys table, to the big person's table, and become a pillar within a $1 trillion corporation, which means he not only convinced Satya, but he convinced the investors, which is probably the hardest thing to do, because that's what you have to, that's where the money comes from. Those are the people that have to be convinced that you are leading in a right direction. And he did that in spades so far. And again, we can project out, we can see the trajectory that he is currently on, that his team is currently on with Xbox, and we could say, yeah, it looks future's looking incredible right now, and we will see if that's the case. But he has turned that narrative now where Xbox is actually changing the game. They are the ones that are leading the pack with xCloud, with Game Pass. They are leading the pack in so many areas right now and extending their lead as we speak. As we just heard, Boom, they're not done, because they know they have to get out in front of everybody. This Netflix of gaming is real, and they want to become that. And the only way they're going to do that is by growing so big that anybody else trying to come into the space, whether it's Sony, whether it's Nintendo, it doesn't matter, whether it's Amazon, whether it's Google, and we've already seen Google drop out, that everybody looks up and goes, okay, well, we're really never going to catch them. So we're just going to try to have to carve our space out here. And in order to do that, you have to have the right leadership in place. You have to have the right people in place, all the way from the top to the bottom, that all see that vision and go, we're all in. And right now, Phil has done that. Phil has everybody on board, including those above him. So absolutely, he's fulfilled his promise so far. And I'm so happy he's here in the gaming industry and leading Xbox to
you can ask Phil out on a date. You sound like you're going steady with this CEO.
Hey, listen, you know what? You got to call a spade a spade. And you know something to add to what Pong had to say?
Well,
of course. We love you too, Joe. Of course, he has the industry on board.
Correct.
And
Correct.
What do I mean by that? That means that people are seeing what Game Pass is doing for their games, and they want to be on board. I have it on full authority from several developers. And yes, I actually know several developers that have talked to me privately, who of course I will not name, but have told me personally, boom, there's a waiting list to get onto Xbox Game Pass. That is how big this thing is. And why is that? Because they are currently just about, if not already at 25 million. And anything that has 25 million of anything is a lot of eyes on potentially your product. And
that's why you will see at least one, if not two, major third-party AAA games releasing day and date this year into Game Pass.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I think
100%.
I think one of them is Dying Light 2. But you know what? I thought Battlefield. I really did. But when you're getting the 10-hour free play, we don't want to bring up Battlefield. That's a sore spot for a lot of folks. But I do want to get the 3-bit first because he's here on limited time. But 3-bit, as much as I want to hear from a gamer's perspective, your opinion, I really want you to come at this from a developer's point of view. And I ask you to do that because you are, of course, in the industry. You just got done working with Ubisoft. And obviously, we can't wait to see what you were up to when their show goes live. But from a developer's perspective, what does having Phil Spencer in your corner while you're building these games do for your personal morale? And has Phil done his job of giving the developers confidence?
Yeah, for sure. I think Game Pass is a way. I think it has a lot of misconceptions to people who don't really understand what Game Pass is. Game Pass is a really good platform for not only us consumers, but also developers, because it encourages people to buy more games. And I know people always say, like, how is that possible? Like, you're just renting the games, or whatever the case is. But it really does create this sort of ecosystem for people to save money, but then they spend it somewhere else. And I think Phil was able to take a uncommon industry trait, which was to share your games across multiple devices, and made it an even more profitable feat for Microsoft. Not only was sharing your games with PC, but also adding things like xCloud, not to mention Game Pass. And all these things are good for developers because it gives people more options to be able to play with these games. And it's an amazing deal for gamers. And everybody knows that most companies, they don't care about straight up hardware sales anymore. It's all about residual income, which means you continue to receive money after completion of a product. And guess what has that? Services. So Phil not only has the backing of Satya and was able to expand their games out to PC, but they're really increased Game Pass subscriptions by like 27 million subscribers or so now, or
Yes.
and continuing to grow. But what makes Phil Maximus Spencer so great is he was able to purchase and be in charge of one of the largest acquisitions in gaming history, with that being ZeniMax, and now adding to that 23 plus studios, and Jez is teasing that, and Colt also on Twitter.
Colt Eastwood said 3. Yeah, someone in the chat actually just said that.
Yeah, the 23 is the new 26, is what he said on Twitter. So I think all of this and adding to that lineup, not to mention even expanding their the streaming stick, giving people options to jump into that ecosystem is great. Not only for gamers, like when you're jumping into the Xbox ecosystem as a gamer, you have all these different options. You're not just restricted to the console. The console is great, but you're also able to play on xCloud. You're also able to play on PC, and Microsoft does make that money from you doing any one of those, playing on the console, playing on the PC, and now even the streaming stick. So if you want to play all these different games that are about to come, and they said they are planning on making a game come every 3 months or something like that.
They said, and what they did is they were very specific on games with an S.
Yes.
So they want several games released every quarter, which is every 3 months. And if they had it their way, that means that they could potentially be putting out a game every month. Now, is that possible? I don't know. I'm not a developer, but all I know is that there's going to come a point where all of these studios, and there's 35 teams making games, they're going to have to release them. And they're not going to, keep delaying it because, the team on the left released it last month and the team on the right's releasing it this month. They're going to have to figure out a way. And something? There's going to be a lot of games.
For sure. And again, it's amazing for both gamers and consumers. And people don't need to worry about the profits. Developers are doing just fine. I see a lot of people concerned, like, oh, how's Game Pass making their money? Well, they also release information on MLB The Show, and I think how that jumped to like number one of one of the most sell games on Xbox. So
I never understood
yeah,
the
great point.
3-bit of like why do you care how company A's making their money if you're getting that entertainment out of it? Is there an explanation out of that? I don't get it.
I don't get that either, because like either way, like I'm not really worried as a gamer, right? I'm not worried about how they're doing things. I just want the thing. I just want the best deal I can possibly get, and then you guys handle the rest. That's not my job. Well, it kind of is my job, but like
developers and publishers are making these deals, so obviously it's going to be beneficial to them. That's why they're making this deal. No one's holding them down to sign that piece of paper.
Yes, that's a great point, Joe. Exactly. I think that gets lost in translation. I know there was a running narrative, not pointing the finger at just PlayStation guys or gals. No, it just was a running industry narrative. How are these people making money? Microsoft is the only one making money. Well, I can tell you that's not true, because I had developer friends tell me, "Boom, that is so far from the truth. I can't begin to tell you."
Yeah, so they're making money. So either way, it's going to be great. Satya, Phil, good combo there, and I'm looking forward to what they got in the future.
Yep, me too, and I'm glad that we had a chance to get your opinion on it, brother. Listen, if we're going to keep going, but if you got to drop out because obviously you got work responsibilities, listen, we'll definitely get your opinion on Tuesday's show, because obviously, if you didn't know, 3-Bit has joined the Tuesday show with us. Because obviously he's been doing things on Thursday. So I'm happy to have that, and it's going to be great to have you there along with Pong Soul and Zemi Games. And of course, like I mentioned in the beginning, N64 Josh has joined the Thursday show with us each and every week. But you know what? Let's get Archimedes. We got your opinion on it. N64 Josh, speak of the devil. Let's get your opinion on this. Obviously, this is not a loaded question. Those are coming. But for you, as an Xbox fan, has Phil Spencer done what he promised you, specifically as an Xbox fan?
He turned a ship that was not going to be easy to turn.
Yes.
I'm sitting here with the Xbox Series X, excited to be in the Xbox ecosystem because of what Phil Spencer has done. I have the day one Xbox One controller. I still have the box. I was still in, and I slowly faded. And because of the work he's done and the work of the team, and you can see it. You can see the passion from every facet, from Aaron to Josh to everybody that's working there, to the leak of the Series S, and just that infamous tweet of just the meme, right? There's just so many things that they have done right. Now the Xbox fridge, there's just they're very community focused, and it comes through, and they care. And I love that. And so I'm all in.
And Phil's relationship with the community, is that one of the reasons what brought you back?
He's just, his style has always resonated with me. Like he doesn't see, he's a gamer. He's not afraid to talk about the PlayStation, or how he's a fan of this, or have the Switch in the background. Like, he feels like a gamer first, and then the head of Xbox. And
interesting, yeah.
His love for Destiny, even after Bungie, went off and essentially, I mean, Destiny was very much a PlayStation. They had all the perks over there, and he just his attitude, his mentality, all of it is a huge reason that I've stayed in the Xbox ecosystem, or and at least come back in a much greater way now.
Yeah. Well, great stuff, Josh. Absolutely. Real quick, before I get to VJ, and I'm looking forward to this, I got to thank two people with super chats that have come in. The first two of the day. Tushy Gaming with the $2 super chat and says, VJ, is fish and chips okay for tea tonight? And I say, well, why the heck not? And Rocker Corey, good friend of the show, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, wished I could give more. Don't ever think that, brother. Your view and your thumbs up and your like is more than enough, but I definitely appreciate the generosity. Just wanted to say, Boom and team, you're doing a hell of a job. It's a great time to be an Xbox gamer. Your future is bright. Yes, thank you so much. And listen, folks, in regards to super chats, obviously there was a pause on being able to fund the channel. That has been lifted. If you want to donate to Double Barrel Gaming through Super Chat, through Super Sticker, or, of course, channel membership, it is greatly appreciated, but it's not expected. Obviously, the world is still in a pandemic, and you know what? The fact that you're here listening, I'm very happy with that. But, of course, I will always be unbelievably grateful if you support. And speaking of support, Wilbo Gaggins, one of my favorite tag names of the chat, he drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, the future of Xbox is bright. Stellar panel, mate. Well, thank you so much for that, brother. VJ,
yes, sir.
You know, you always bring a very unique way of explaining yourself when these questions come abound. And, you know, you obviously, you do notes, and this is why we love having you a part of the panel. You have been on the industry, both sides of the coin. I talk about that all the time. A lot of people don't know that VJ is very, very, very low key. And he's been a part of the industry, both in development and in retail, two very important aspects. Again, both sides of the coin. As looking through this glass for you, VJ, has Phil Spencer delivered on his promise from 2017?
God, the panel came up with the panel kind of covered it back to front, inside out, and I haven't really left much for me to say, but I'll give it a go. But I think since perhaps even before, finally taking over as the boss of Xbox, I think Phil has shown he was quite well aware of the overall situation and potential of the Xbox division. I think the potential being delivering a profitable business in line with Satya's or Microsoft's requirements, but doing all of that while not compromising his personal philosophies. And if you've been in business and you go in with these great ideas, you go in with all this bravado, listen, you know what, I'm going to do this, I've got the opportunity and I'm going to make a difference. And 9.9 times out of 10, you are compromised. It's just a fact of life. The reality of doing business, surviving, proverbially bites you in the rear end. So Xbox, I'm assuming here. So based on what little I've understood about Phil, because I don't know the guy personally, and I feel it's a bit unjustified to sort of judge him outright. But is his philosophy for me? And I think it was something that you said last year, Boom, that sort of stayed with me, is that he's kind of building Xbox, its DNA and politics going forward are not based on Sony or Nintendo's attitudes towards gamers. And I think that's what everybody's trying to say or are saying or is saying in the panel. And on sort of, you've got on one, when it comes to Phil, on one side of the coin, I think, everyone said that he shows tremendous leadership, self-belief, assuredness, awareness, and calmness, all whilst under constant pressure to deliver his plan and vision. And credit to Satya for supporting him. But at the same time, it's Satya's job, right? It's his job to back the right horse, for the business model or the project or the division, etc., and so on and so forth. On occasion, Boom, we've talked about Phil, and I've listened to Phil, read his interviews, and I've looked a little deeper at his body language, especially when he's engaged in various PR activities, whether it's with the fans or whether it's financially or commercially related from time to time. And he's had to show strength and character even more so when some of his team around him have let him down. And I have to say that because I have to be honest and consistent. And I think they've done it undoubtedly and profoundly. And I make no apologies for pointing out the obvious that Phil needs better management in certain areas supporting him. On the other side of the coin, Phil's shown me his how can I put this, his greatest strength and his greatest weakness from all my time observing him. And again, you know, it's my limited observation because I don't know the guy, I don't work with him, and I don't see everything that's going on behind the veil at Xbox. And though that strength and weakness, they're one and the same, and it's trust. And perhaps, you know, we could look more closely at unmitigated loyalty, and sometimes the lack of creative ruthlessness is something to think about also. But at the same time, over the last 6 months, because these are not points that are new to you guys that have been with me on the panel since I've joined Boom Show. These are some things I've echoed since a year ago, but I do see improvements in those areas. In terms of the division, I think he's offering to the consumer, to us guys, right, that we're on the panel and discussing all of this, is great hardware and a subscription service, which you can access via many other devices if he gets his way, right? And technology allows it to be, you know, to be done so. So, and he's also assembled together a technically, I would say, a far more technically secure stable of first-party creative studios, all with different degrees of potentiality, because we're still yet to see those games, and hopefully that narrative will change on Sunday. And while we await, you know, for all this internal content to arrive, which is, the number just seems to grow every time I'm on the show, but Phil's licensed, or his team have gone out and licensed a good steady stream of third-party content for the ever-evolving Game Pass service, which, you know, Boom, whether I criticize it or I praise it, you know, I've pretty much been living in it for the last 7 months, about 90% of my time. And 10% of the other time that I haven't been in is been playing games that I've bought for full price. So it gives you an idea of how much I'm invested into it. And of course, there are things that I agree with, and that I am in total alignment with when it comes to Phil. And there are some things that Xbox do that are not quite clear to me. And even though some of the planning may be obscure to us, and I'm trying to give a balanced opinion here, right? Not a euphoric one. Phil is perhaps, you know, fully aware, and he knows the points that need addressing, but only as and when he deems appropriate, and perhaps even based on strategic timing, right? Look, I quite frankly, I'm so unaware of proceedings at Xbox because these days, you know, I'm more of a consumer, but I can't, you know, sort of categorically sit here and judge Phil. I can only imagine the agenda him and Jim Ryan, for example, his opposite number face on a daily basis. And I can't judge either of them in any sort of entirety. And what concerns me is, and I think this needs to be said, is that many others, or many people even in the community, feel that they have the right or knowledge to do so. And that, or perhaps even they just feel the need to do so. For what reason, I don't know. And I can't subscribe to that, right? Since most of us are poor judges of characters, coupled with modern day lack of sort of thought process, you know, before spewing our nonsense all over others. And the fact that we deliver, sometimes, even me, right, deliver low rent opinions prior to any sort of humane or even reasonable understanding and discovery. And I'm saying all of this because if Phil has shown me anything, is that he has not shirked away from the recent embarrassing legacy of Xbox. In fact, he's embraced the history and responsibility wholeheartedly. I think that we understand, even as individuals, how difficult that is to do, even privately, right? Stand in front of a full-length mirror and really take a good look at yourself, let alone face off publicly when, you know, every other twit on YouTube or on social media wants to castigate you daily, right? And he's used, and I've used this phrase so many times on the show, he's used capitalizing on failure as a focal point to help drive himself and his team to reinvent Xbox. And at the end of the day, I can only sit alongside my sort of fellow panel members and community in the chat, which you allow me to do on a weekly basis, Boom. So thank you for that. And watch how the next decade of events unfold. And because we're still in the embryonic stages of what Phil wants to do, right? He's probably coming to the end of his first 5-year plan, right? And well into his second 5-year or 10-year plan. And as I say, there's a decade of events to unfold, and a major event and perhaps a turning point that we're all looking forward to is this Sunday on June 13th, if I've got that right. My memory doesn't always serve me that well. And And look, Boom, in the confines of a podcast, it's really difficult for me to sort of cover every aspect of Phil's tenure since he was being in charge of Xbox. And even prior to that, right, what's led up to it. I feel I'm doing Phil a huge injustice, right, especially since I don't know the gentleman. And each of us on the panel could sit with you for 2 hours, for 2 full hours, and discuss this topic. So I hope what I've had to offer for now is decent.
Absolutely, listen, absolutely, dude. There's no doubt you failed to deliver. Listen, real quick, Joe, Mr. Badbit, had a family emergency. Hopefully everything is okay at home. He had to step out. So obviously we wish him the best. And if I get an update throughout the show, I will certainly let everyone know about that. But I definitely got to catch up on some of the super chats. There's been quite a few of them, and it starts with Chaos Mike, good friend and generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says, can't wait to see all of these games come out. Thanks for what you do, Boom. And shout out to the wife for encouraging you to do this. Thank you. Yeah, it's more. She does more than encourage. As a matter of fact, like I said in previous podcasts, she's officially working with me full time on this incredible dream. And I could not have asked for a better partner. Besides being my wife, she is my best friend and now officially my partner to Double Barrel Gaming, and that's super important. Sin Vendetta, generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Boom, the most important thing that needs to be answered is Sunday at Xbox E3 show will Elden Ring be there? Boom, we need an answer. I got news for you folks. And this is directed directly at Sin Vendetta. I have it on good authority that trailer was pulled. We talked about this on Primetime Gaming of the terror tactics that Sony is currently using with people looking to partner with Xbox and not them. And I can't say for certain that is what happened, but the contract was not signed, and Xbox basically offered a significant amount of money for the trailer, and that money was left untouched by Bandai Namco to allow Microsoft to have the Elden Ring trailer. And no, we're not getting it at E3, and that's very sad. And again, I don't know if the terror tactics of Sony and their unbelievable behavior is to blame, but no, I would not expect Elden Ring there. It was supposed to be there, but listening to the Xbox Era podcast, Special Nick said that it was in fact pulled. So I don't know what to expect, but I don't think we're going to see it. Reggie Mobile 9, generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, great day to you, Boom, and the all-star panel. Excellent show as always. Well, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate you being here. I appreciate the generosity and of course the compliment. And we also have a wise old gamer, generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, good morning, Boom and all. It's summer. No classes to teach. No papers to grade. Xbox E3 on Sunday. How can life be any better? The present is a gift indeed. And Drawn TJ, another generous friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, hi, Boom and panel. Who do you think they will announce they bought at E3? Yeah, it's going to be a topic. We're going to get into that. So you know what, 3-Bit? I know that you got to go, brother. So we're going to get to you first on topic number 2. Now, this is a spicy one, folks. In the last few days, the words temper your expectations have been the running narrative with both the Xbox community, the gaming, or should I say, journalist community, as well as the trolls of the interwebs. My question is, why the F should we temper our expectations? It's freaking E3. It's Nerds Christmas. And I expect big things. Are we setting ourselves up for disappointment is the question. 3-Bit, take that away before you get on out of here.
Yeah, I don't want to temper my expectations.
That's the spirit.
I think E3 to me has always been like the Christmas of the year, right? I think it's gamers' Christmas, as people like to point out. And there are a lot of potential announcements this year. There's stuff I know about, and there's just stuff that's going to be there that I'm looking forward to seeing. Different acquisitions. I want to see what Halo Infinite has going on. We know there's going to be some type of multiplayer announcement. There's already been some little leaks here and there for the multiplayer beta that's going to be there. Excited to see that, and then things we don't know about that they're keeping very
that to me is the
hush,
most
hush.
exciting part. And you know what? I got to be honest with you, 3-Bit. My God, they have been tight-lipped because we have seen in the past huge aspects of Microsoft leaks, and nothing has even dripped out.
Yeah, they're doing really good. I don't know. I know during the Game Awards show, they didn't even Jeff Keighley didn't even know, right, that they were going to announce the Series X there. So I'm wondering if they're doing something similar here, where maybe they're showing things to other people, but it's like a fake thing. I don't know. I just know they're doing very good, tight-lipped service here with what's going to be at that show, but that makes it good, in my opinion. I'm really excited to see what they have, what they're going to announce. And is Elden Ring going to be there? Is Perfect Dark going to be there? Like I've been hearing. Yeah, I'm just overall, I'm not tempering my expectations. Show me what you got, and this is the gamer Christmas of the year. So, you know, to other people who are saying like, oh, I don't want to be excited for it or whatever, that's fine. But you know, my expectations are high. I love this stuff either way. You show me Halo Infinite and like a Starfield, then to me that's like a 10 out of 10.
I agree. You know what? I agree with you. I think that listen, I look, folks, what I can't change your mind. I could tell you right now that if you ever wanted to hear a loud New York voice from me, expect to hear that at this E3. I'm right there with you, 3-Bit. I think that why should we temper our expectations? And I agree with you. If Halo delivers, if Starfield delivers, if they have some surprises, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, just with those. But I gotta get out of here. And it's been nice being on the panel with everybody. VJ, Archimedes, Bad Bit, who's here, Pong, you already know, Zemi, my arch nemesis. It's good seeing you guys. And I'll see you guys in the next show.
Later, 3-Bit.
Yeah, definitely, brother. We'll definitely catch you on the back end, brother. Thank you so much. Let me just catch up on a few of the super chats. Yeah, my God, we had quite a few of them pop in here. We had Eagles fan 76, generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, Colt is saying 26 is the new 23. Yeah, that's what it is, folks. And I got news for you. The Crytek BoomStick rumor is going to come to fruition, and people who doubted the Boomster are going to be eating lots of crow, and it won't be me, and I cannot wait. Gerald Mack drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, Phil Dominus, Maximus Aurelius Spencer. Yeah, we got to get a fourth one in there. King says no, but I'm going to override King. Can I override a King? I don't know. I'm more of a jester than a king, so I don't know if I can do it, but I'm going to try. LMNOPO, good friend of the show, he drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, good morning, Boom and gang, hyped for E3, Halo, and most importantly, FanFest, having my friend come over with his son for the first E3 ever. Dude, that is dope. I absolutely applaud that. See, that is what I'm talking about. Gaming together, making it like an event. That's dope, dude. And our good friend Davikin89 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I got the feeling that Phil and Satya cleared the way this morning for the good stuff coming in the next hours and days, and with games and acquisitions. And I agree. I think you're onto something with that, Davikin. Pongso, I got to get to you, brother. You and I are on the same mindset. I say, why temper expectations? I think we should ask for the world, and I think Microsoft is going to deliver. What is your opinion on this?
Absolutely. You know where I've been. I've been on top of the hype mountain the entire time. I'm not coming down. So I really don't care. People could say I'm in danger. People could say you're going to fall off. I don't care. I believe that this, even if some things have gotten, pulled or pushed, delayed, whatever you want to call it from this show, just because of the whole situation going on with everything that's happened over the past year with the shortage of consoles, I don't care. I still think Microsoft is coming with the big guns. I still think Xbox is there to blow our socks off. And I think, like you were just talking about with 3-Bit, I think a lot of stuff has been tight-lipped and kept hidden from us. Now, it's a 90-minute show. We've got a good idea of some of the major players we're going to see there, but all the stuff in between, that they are not leaking this time around, which is, like you said, Boom, rare in a lot of ways. We usually do get some major leaks. I think that there has been a change there. I think that Bethesda is also, ZeniMax as a whole, but Bethesda especially, is having some influence already on how Microsoft approaches this. I listen to a ton of shows, this, Boom, and people that know, and people in the know, people that do have connections within Microsoft are and Xbox are starting to say that they think that whole temper the expectations thing, that kind of that down feeling that some people in the community, some big people in the community had a few weeks ago, was all kind of planned. That this was another situation where they just want to be able to surprise everybody. So I'm on top of the hype train. I was just watching. I didn't even see this morning, along with all the other stuff coming out, that they actually put a new trailer for Flight Sim for the series consoles at the end of that thing this morning. I was just watching that on my OLED. Oh my God. Are you kidding me right now?
And
that looks
on top of it looking amazing, it's releasing next Tuesday.
Right. Exactly. So I think this is the kind of stuff that we're going to see out of this show. I think they have a plan in place. And again, yes, do they have to, if I was Phil, I would drop it all and just walk off stage, right? I would just I don't care. I would just blow everybody out of the water. Now, do I think that they're going to keep some stuff for some future shows and rolling into next year? Absolutely. I do believe that. I don't think we're going to see everything, but I think from a hype standpoint, I think that even if you are hyped like me, if you're standing on top of Mount Everest with your hype, I think you're going to come out of this show extremely happy with everything that they're going to show. And I can't wait to get on with this. Sunday cannot come soon enough, Boom.
It's funny. One of the things that we didn't talk about, I have to bring it up because I keep forgetting it. Before I get to Sin Vendetta's recent, you saw that picture of Thanksgiving with all the characters, folks. The lead character from Wolfenstein was there standing there. Like, if that doesn't say that me and Boxer Bear have been right from the beginning about Wolfenstein 3 or Wolfenstein 3. I keep saying it wrong, but I'm going to...
The thing is, you pronounce the Stein really good, but you have to work on your wolf. It's not wolf, it's wolf.
Wolfenstein.
Yeah, I'm never going to get it.
We're getting there.
One day I'm going to surprise the hell out of you, but I think that we
Boom. My advice is to continue being the lazy American that wants to pronounce it however you want to pronounce it. That's my advice to you. Live your truth, brother.
Leave my truth. But you know what? Real quick, speaking of truth, and Semi, this is pointed directly at you, so get ready. Sin Vendetta drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, just for fun, because I haven't done it in a while, Semi. What is the core of the Elder Wand? Your silence is deafening.
Thestral hair?
I honestly don't know, because I love Harry Potter, but I'm not into it that much. But certainly Sin Vendetta is, and I think he might have bested you once again, Zemi. Shame on you. But let's continue with, of course, the panel. Let's go to VJ on this. Zemi, I'll come back to you on the back end.
Okay.
VJ,
Yes, sir.
I got to get your opinion on this. This is a very subjective, this is a very opinionated, topic. For you, we have been hearing, I wait until next E3 because, man, that's when they're going to deliver. But I think that post E3 2018, as great as that conference was, and it was goddamn great, I think that this has the potential to be the best Xbox conference ever. For you, are you tempering expectations, or are you going to buck what everyone is saying to do?
I think, thanks for coming me so early, Boom. I was half asleep. There is always something to be said about a measured approach given a set of circumstances. I think this E3 event and the circumstances leading up to it is certainly not one of them. I think just leaning into your words, such as temper your expectations, in this specific scenario are words often used to employed by people that want to perhaps, protect themselves from disappointment and projecting their own thoughts or feelings, or are perhaps doubtful or do not want to see the circus that may ensue if an event is not all it could or should have been, or perhaps these individuals you mentioned, or clumps of the society that you mentioned, or community that you mentioned, is that just want to sow the seeds of doubts in others and have nothing better, nothing better else to do. So either way, I would just say, think for yourself and do it carefully, and think about the logical course of action, right? For me, E3 should be, and I think we talked about this before, but I've been talking about this last year. For me, E3 should be a time of joy, positivity and celebration. And like you say, all very subjective, right? If you ask me, depending on what you're into. And look, Boom, I don't want to give too much away here because obviously I'm under oath with MI5. But I remember boarding a plane for about 15 years on the trot, right, heading to E3, Gamescom, or TGS, and my feelings, always, were either exhilaration, enthusiasm, and excitement, and they were all, and those emotions were always, or feelings were always, at their peak. And look, everything that happens at E3 is inevitable, right? This year, right? We're so close to it now, right? Not much is going to change, and it's going to be down to you to manage your emotions and respect what Xbox will show us, and whether you love it or otherwise. And after Sunday, Boom, really, you've been in this business for a long time, and you know that there's going to be at least two extreme groups, right? You're either going to be in the group A, which is happy, content, euphoric, or simply floating on cloud nine and singing angelic or celestial hymns about Phil, or you're going to be in the other camp B, or maybe C, just put a little bit of a divide between the two. And you're either going to be concerned, frustrated, outraged, done with Xbox, or out with flaming pitchforks. Take your pick. And whatever your expectations, you should or could perhaps just be understanding that based on what's gone on in the previous year, what I'm saying is mitigating circumstances, right? That for me is that whatever your take on it is, that just, build in some consideration, because I find that there is very little consideration or scope for humane understanding and forgiveness these days. And you only have to observe the nature of people's attitudes to sort of Jim Ryan recently, to say the least. I could point out to several mitigating factors in favor of Jim in relation to the low rent opinion and unkind thought processes towards him. We know what reactions are, Boom. They employ very little acumen, comprehension, and past, present, and future awareness before people comment. It's just so commonplace these days. So I would suggest keeping your own counsel, or being in parts of communities, that promote positivity. Whatever your thought process, this time of year is definitely about looking forward and imagining the very best and finding something that means a tremendous amount to you. What I hope, and this is not just for me, this is for everybody, that everybody discovers one or two games, even a handful of games, if you're a gaming savant, right, that are perhaps on the horizon. Sorry, I was thinking about Horizon 5 or 6 there, but and without any reserve whatsoever, you're lying in wait for, and there's no need to temper your expectations. Just be understanding and sensible about it, and especially after the fact, no matter how you feel, and don't just jump on Twitter and again, spewing poison. Just celebrate. And I would suggest that if you have nothing promising or decent to say or positive to say while others are celebrating, the best course of action is to remain silent and observe. Look, for me, I would very much like, it's all common sense, Boom. I would very much like for E3 to rekindle my zest for life and gaming, for my gaming life. And these events are few and far between as it is, Boom, right? Once a year. I mean, and depending on how much, you watch Gamescom or into TGS, etc., and so on and so forth. And all I want to see from the Xbox perspective is that they show me how much the industry means to them. Specifically,
great point.
Phil,
that's a great point, dude. Yes, I love it.
Specifically to Phil, and to show how far he's come, with, of course, inevitably, Boom, there's a long way to go. So whatever we see, it's in its early stages, and, try to just apply some common sense and enjoy it as much as you can.
Cheers. I love it. Great stuff as always, dude. Zemi Games, let's get to you on this. You are getting excited for E3. You have been getting excited for E3 for quite some time.
Yes.
My question to you is, with the the running narrative, and social media is known for narratives, and they're certainly running all over the place. Should Xbox gamers, and more importantly the community, temper our expectations on what can be delivered from Xbox?
God, everyone's going to hate me for my answer, but yes, I think that everyone should temper their expectations.
Now, why is that?
I don't think I don't think it's just Xbox gamers. I think Sony gamers should, Nintendo gamers should, every single gamer, right, should temper your
Zemi. Everybody in the chat, boo Zemi.
I think there's a hashtag Zemi cancel going on as we speak.
That happens every show.
And let me also add this in though, right? I'm not saying this for any malicious reason. I don't have some hidden agenda or narrative I'm trying to push. I bleed just as green as anyone else on this panel, right? I'm an Xbox fan.
Zemi Keeley, right here, folks. Zemi Keeley.
That's his brother.
I do like Jeff Keighley though.
I like Jeff.
Yeah, I do have respect for him, just overall as a person, as a professional in the industry. I do have respect for him. But I think one thing that kind of gets maybe, lost in translation is, like, I'm not anti-speculation. I think speculation's great. I think the problem is that whenever you feel that those speculations are so right that you believe in your heart of hearts and you expect that whatever your theory is becomes an expectation, and then inside your being that that's going to be shown, it's not, and then you're going to be left a little bit disappointed. And if that happens to enough of your theories, then you may walk away from the show really not happy. Now, is that true for everyone? Absolutely it's not, right? We all deal with our expectations and just watching any form of media completely different than other people. But I think for a lot of people, tempering your expectations is a great practice to do. I really do. I'm not saying cancel, speculating, but there is a very big, distinction between, speculation and what you're actually expecting to happen. And for expectations, I think tempering them is a good course of action. Then again, it's also maybe it also kind of depends on what exactly you are expecting. If you're expecting some strange, outrageous thing to the majority of people, then of course you're going to be disappointed. Whereas if what you're generally expecting is chances are is pretty correct that it's going to happen. Like, for instance, Halo. Well, we're pretty sure that's going to be shown. Psychonauts 2, that's probably going to be shown as well. If you're expecting those types of things, the more likely outcomes, then maybe you don't really need to temper your expectations at all. But I think overall, tempering your expectations is not a negative thing. I think that people are kind of pushing that as a negative narrative of you might as well just expect the worst now because Xbox is going to blow it again, and that's not the case. That's not where I'm coming from with the idea of tempering your expectation. I think it's just a healthy thing to do. To make it where you're not going to get disappointed. And that's the last thing I want any gamer to feel is disappointment after watching E3. And I think a great way of potentially, stopping that from happening is tempering your expectations. Go in excited, go in, pumped for this show, have speculations, the things that you would like to see, but don't expect them to happen if they're outlandish, because they're probably not going to be, and then you're going to be disappointed. So speculate your heart's desire out, but try to temper your expectations as much as you can.
I mean, listen, I can't argue with that. I think it's a very fair way you explained it. But before I get to Josh,
there's a lot of booze in the chat there. There was a lot of booze in the chat.
Pongso, you're known as the mayor of Speculation Town, which is always sunny. It's always fine, delicious 75 degrees, and there are unicorns and rainbows all day long. My question to you is, have you closed the doors on Zemi Games?
Absolutely.
Okay.
No more Tuesday. You know, you got 3-bit. You got 3-bit now. We don't need Zemi on Tuesdays. We're good. You know, just call it a day and be done with it. Boom. That's all I got to say.
Well, you know, listen, he punched your ticket, Zemi. I'm sorry.
Yep, his pass to Speculation Town has been permanently revoked.
Boom. I think it's time for me to jump over to that Monday show, buddy. It's time to switch it up again.
You have officially.
I'm sure the trophy room probably has a spot for you, Zemi. Don't worry.
Oh my God. That's great. I love that. That's great. Josh, let's get to you on this, brother. You have been talking about Xbox in a way that's very refreshing. Xbox lost you for a bit, but then you came back, and for a lot of good reasons. For you, are your expectations tempered, or are they, you know, basically hoping they show the world?
You know, I don't know if I'm built like other gamers because like I get excited by multiple things when it comes to Xbox. Of course, games. Halo's coming out. That's already a win for me. Like if they only showed Halo Infinite, I'd be fine. They win E3 for me because I'm a huge Halo fan. I also love watching the way that they have not given up and they've continued to fight, and they're showing us that they're here to stay, right? And so I don't feel like they're of course, I want to see them drop bombs that, you know, silence the haters and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, I just want to see them keep the momentum that they have and get people excited, get people talking. And I guess I'm kind of a glass half full kind of guy when it comes to these events. And I'm going to take what's for me and what I'm going to get stoked about. And that's going to be great. And what other people like, I've been covering Nintendo, right? The last 4 years, I've talked about it. The last few directs that Nintendo's done, there hasn't been a lot for me. But you can look at Twitter. You can see the people that are excited about some of these more niche titles or things like that. These are not a bad thing. They're not a bad thing at all. I may not be opening my wallet to go purchase some of these things, but that's okay because other people are going to enjoy it, and that's a good thing. So I don't know. I think I always keep my expectations kind of in check, and I just look for the things that I just celebrate the things that are for me. And other than that, everything else is just like, hey, cool, somebody's gonna like it, and that's great.
I mean, that makes perfect sense. Again, very well said. Very straight and to the point. Definitely appreciate that, Josh. I do want to catch up with some of the super chats that have come in, and then we're going to get to the topic number 3. And I think the next one is the one that the nearly 600 people here have been waiting for. And we have, let's see. Okay, so if Sin Vendetta, wow, dude, drops an additional $5 super chat to say, correct, Zemi. It is the Thrustrial tail hair. So you were correct, Zemi.
You had no faith in me, by the way, Boom. You had no faith in me.
You know what, dude? I have to go based on prior accounts, and no, I did not have any faith. But you know what? You proved me wrong, damn it. Thanaros in the chat, generous friend of the show. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat. Says E3 is going to be the biggest tease in gaming. Gaming ever. The consoles are still hard to purchase. Yeah, it really is. I mean, that's not going away, bro, until potentially the start of next year, and that sucks. Dafican89 drops a $2 super chat and says EA got hacked. Well, that's not good. I didn't even know about that. I'll read that story on the back end of the program. Gerald Mack drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says thank you, Archimedes Wolfenstein. Awesome. I don't know if I said it right, but I'm trying.
It was close. It was close.
Dan Lazaro, generous friend of the show, he drops a $5 super chat. Says temper expectation does not mean kill your excitement. What world are you living in? High expectations always leads to being unsatisfied. I agree with that. And the Liz 2212, I think it is, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, after 2020 COVID, let's just sit back and enjoy the show and announcement. The games and consoles will come. Excited. Are we getting back to normal? Yeah, and I think you're on. Oh, yeah. So it's, VGC just dropped it. EA confirms hackers have stolen the source code for FIFA 21 and the Frostbite engine. Well, what a bunch of boobs. That's all I can say. But you know what, folks? Listen, we're up to date with the super chats. I cannot thank you enough, but we have to get into one of the big topics. This is the one that everyone has come for. Predictions of the Xbox and Bethesda game showcase is what is going to be next. And with first party being under a microscope for the entire campaign of last gen, nothing seems more important than a good look behind the curtain into the next 18 to 24 months. The question for the panel, the question for the chat is, what will Xbox and Bethesda show? And I'm actually going to start very quickly with, of course, Archimedes. Archimedes, what are you expecting? What big surprises? What do you say that's guaranteed going to be there? Where do you fall in what these two behemoths in Microsoft and ZeniMax, but more specifically Bethesda, are going to show during their 90-minute showcase on Sunday afternoon?
Oh, you want to fill the rest of the show with all of that? Because I could easily do that, but let me break it down to the most important announcements I think are going to happen. I mean, as the closer we get to the actual showcase, I see predictions get even more crazier every day. So I want to keep it a little bit more realistic today. What do I expect? I expect Microsoft to open up with Halo. Of course, Halo Infinite. And I do say they will open the show with that, even though they did the same last year, for one single reason. They don't have to explain Halo. Halo is self-explanatory. Is that a word? I don't know. You can show that game with a trailer. You can show a little bit of multiplayer for that, and then simply bring up public beta launching this summer or something like that. Yeah. The game will explain itself. And no matter what they show with Halo, whether the graphics are going to be mind-blowing or just really, really good, or the gameplay looks good or not, or whatever, Halo will be a big point of discussion after the show. And so they want to get that kind of out of the way. Everyone knows Halo is coming. Everyone is excited for it. And so to open up the show with Halo Infinite and the announcement of a multiplayer beta this summer is something that would just set the mood for the rest of the showcase. Because then they will have a couple of other games that they have to announce and have to explain a little bit, like Starfield. You cannot show Starfield at the beginning or the end, because for Starfield, a Todd Howard has to come on stage and explain the game. What is the vision for the game?
My question is he wearing the brown leather jacket or the black leather jacket?
He's such a beautiful man. Praise be his name.
His
Todd Howard.
Amen.
Since he has started to work on the Indiana Jones game, he kind of has to go with the brown one, right?
Yeah, I agree. Yes.
So
that's
he's going to look good regardless, guys. He's going to look good regardless.
No doubt. No, but coming back, I think Starfield definitely going to be at the showcase, and it will be somewhere in the middle with a section where a Todd Howard comes out and explains the game. We will see certain gameplay elements for that game, and we will learn what that game is, what the scope of the game is, what the vision for the game is. And so they pack that in the middle somewhere of the show. Around that, we will get a couple of announcements from AA games. Yeah, of course, I expect them to show Crossfire X. I expect them to show the Gunk. I expect them to show maybe definitely the flight simulator. Kind of the question whether you consider AA or AAA, but that game will be somewhere in the middle with the announcement of the release date for next Tuesday. Then we have Psychonauts 2 in there, somewhere around the middle, either before or after Starfield, and then they come back and try to bring up the hype at the end of the show, and they show a couple of bigger games. Then definitely, probably, I assume they will show Forza Horizon 5 then, with its release date or target. Probably they will. I assume they will say for a lot of games more release windows or targets like fall 2021 or spring 2022 or something like that, because if they nail down a specific date and something moves, they have to announce a delay. And if you just announce fall 2021 and you have to move the game for 1 month, fall still is the right correction. That's why I think we won't get many actual release dates outside of Halo and Psychonauts 2 and Flight Simulator. But anyway, coming back to what the games are, I think Forza Horizon 5 will be there, and then it will get exciting because we will need that second big Bethesda game. Bethesda usually had their own showcase, and you don't have a showcase with just one game, even if it's a fantastic game or a big game like Starfield. You don't have your own showcase with just one big game. So Bethesda has to have at least one or two other major announcements in there. And everyone is saying definitely Project Omen will be there, which would be awesome to see what Arcane has been working on. Yeah. We haven't had a proper AAA budget vampire game in a while. So that would be definitely awesome to see. But I think the other big focus from Bethesda will be, like we said earlier, Wolfenstein 3. Yeah, that game will be announced, and then they end the show with one big AAA gameplay reveal trailers, either for Fable or Avowed, or Hellblade 2, maybe Perfect Dark, something like that, something really big, with a little gameplay trailer that everyone's jaw drops to the floor and you're speechless with mind-blowing graphics, and with that they end the show. So, and in between that, of course, we will get a few announcements, probably like I said earlier, one or two big third-party games coming to Game Pass, with a bunch of other games, probably smaller AA games, which they announced that they will come to Game Pass. I still think Far Cry 6 is a possibility, and Dying Light 2. And well, the latest rumor says at least 3 new studios. So they have to pack that also in there. But I don't think that they end the show with that. They will end the show with one big graphic showcase for the series.
I would love for them to end the show with Hellblade gameplay.
Yes,
and I think they can do it. I'm sorry. I know that the COVID was a thing. I understand. I'm not a developer, so I don't know crap. But I can tell you they've been working on this game for many years, and I think a 2.5, 245-minute trailer can and should have been put together to show off some sort of gameplay. I mean that's just my opinion on it. You know what, Zemi Games, let's bring you into the conversation. This was a great topic on ILP. Cognito asked open, close, and middle of the conference, but I took this topic a little different. I kind of want you to spell out your conference. If you're wearing the pants of Phil Spencer, how do you paint this conference? What are you going to show? What opens, what closes, and what's in the middle of the Xbox Bethesda conference happening this Sunday?
I'm not 100% sure on what should open, what should close, all that. I haven't really dug a whole lot into the strategy behind, how they would show each game or whatever. But I do think that opening with Halo would be a very, very strong, strong play. I mean, that was definitely a game that got a lot of flack last year, and so to open that up as almost a redemption kind of story and show that game off first, I think would really show Xbox's confidence and all the hard work that 343 had put into that game. So I think that would be an amazing one to start off with. And I do agree, the closing should be either a game that we've never seen before that just is insane, graphically, or maybe something that we just haven't seen in quite a while, like Hellblade. I think that would make, a lot of sense to do it that way. As for the in-between, I think the most important thing is that they keep the pacing up, right? Don't drag anything out longer than what it needs to be. Keep the show moving. And I think that you can, do that a multitude of ways. So, the middle of the show, just make sure that the pacing's right. As for the actual titles that I would like to see there or think are going to appear during the showcase, this kind of, gets put into two different categories: the almost guaranteed category and the Zimmy's just speculating out his butt category. And, for the guaranteed, I think, Halo Infinite for sure. We're definitely going to see that one, right? Forza, I think there's a very good chance that we will probably see something Forza. I'm really hoping that it's Motorsports. I would cry if it was Horizon because I don't want to lose my beard, but
you're going to shave your beard, brother.
That's neither here nor there. Flight Sim comes out this summer, right? I can't imagine it not being there, but that's why it's in the almost guaranteed category. 12 minutes. This has been a game that I've been tracking for the longest time. Is you're going to release coming soon. And we know that there's definitely going to be some indie games that are going to be shown off during this presentation. So I don't know why that shouldn't be there. Psychonauts 2, I think once again is definitely should be in the guaranteed or almost guaranteed category. Same as Starfield. I think that we definitely will see Starfield and Todd Howard's beautiful locks of hair. But in the more of the speculation, realm, I think Avowed, right? I don't think it's even remotely close to being done. So there's not really a whole lot of reasons why you should waste airtime and show that whenever you could show other things that are going to release sooner and be more relevant to gamers today, right? Ninja Theory's Hellblade. I don't know, about the release date of that. Part of me kind of wants to put it in the guaranteed category, but then also part of me, says maybe they're going to hold off on that. Then again, there's and that's for Hellblade and also Project Mara. We could possibly see something from either of those IPs, but I'm not 100% sure on that. And the last thing that I kind of throw in the speculation category is really, really out there. I'm not expecting this whatsoever, but I think it would be amazing. And I was actually talking to, Boom, I was talking to you about this before the show, is Cyberpunk something, right? And I understand that Cyberpunk isn't an Xbox exclusive, but they did or do have that marketing deal with them. And for the console space, it's currently the only place that you can actually purchase the game right now because PlayStation took it off their stores. I would love to see, a short little trailer giving a release date for the free DLC that has been talked about for a very long time now, but also the upgraded version of the game, like the graphical update for the Series X, for the Series S. I would love to see that type of news being announced during the Xbox showcase. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I got for this topic.
Well, that's great stuff, dude. Absolutely fantastic. Boxer Bear, Archimedes, you got to get out of here because you're going to go hang out with the Indie Gamer for the Jeff Keighley event. I want to thank you so much for stopping by, hanging out with us, and we're definitely going to see you on Sunday's coverage of the Xbox Bethesda show. Definitely check out Archimedes' channel. He's been putting out one video after another, and each one that he puts out is better than the last. Archimedes, enjoy the rest of your day, brother.
Thank you so much for letting me on the show. Sorry I have to bail out, but I have to eat something because it's past dinner time for me, and in 30 minutes I have to go. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure on the show. You guys have an amazing discussion, and let's have a fantastic E3 week all together.
Yes, awesome to be on a show with you, Archie. Thanks, man.
Thanks, brother. And, it's Pong Soul. Let's get your opinion on it. I know you have a lot to say. It's going to be detailed. And that's what we love about you. What do you open? What do you close? What do you put in the middle? And what else do you expect these two behemoths to show fans this Sunday?
Whoa, boy. This is a big one, Boom. So I think you do open with Halo. I think that makes the most sense. I think it is definitely going to be what we heard about with the multiplayer focused show off, showcase, and then obviously announcing beta, very soon.
I
think,
hope that they give us a date, dude. That would be massive.
I think they will. I think they'll give it. I think that's the big portion of it. I do still think that we are going to see some single player campaign stuff. I don't think they're going to ignore it. I just think the real focus is going to be on the multiplayer and what they're bringing to the table with that. I think it's going to be a big showcase of that because so many people are excited. That's the free to play portion. And I definitely think that that's something that they're going to push and want to get people really talking about. Even though everybody's already talking about it, I think they really want to show all the people that may be on the fence wondering what it's going to turn out to look like and be like. I think they want to give people a much clearer picture of what this is going to all entail when it comes to this. And definitely the beta release and release date is going to be key to that, to give everybody that wants to a taste. And so I think that it's going to be a huge opening part of it. I've gone back and forth on what I would close with as far as a bookend goes. So, if it was me, I'd bookend that at the end of the show with Starfield. Again, God Howard, his presence on stage is undeniable. His demonstrations, what he's done in the past, everybody still talks about to this day. And I think that's how you close the show. Now, my only caveat with that is if you close the show with Starfield, that's perfect, but do you do that one last thing, right? Do you do that one last mic drop moment? Starfield itself is already going to be huge.
I think you have to, dude. Like, I really think you have to.
Right. And Boom, you and I, we both talked about this. So, forgive me, chat. We're going deep into speculation town here, but it's something that Boom and I and other people have all been on for a long time. And I know people say it's impossible, but I think you close, with a deal with Splinter Cell. And I think that would be the mic drop moment. I think that would just cause a complete frenzy and chaos. And again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have a gut. Oh, God, Boom, don't do it.
I'll do it one more time for just because we're doing it. Folks, the lights go low. The lights go black, right? Somehow or another, there's just one more thing, and you hear this. And it says Xbox exclusive. Listen,
God.
I got goosebumps just saying it, and I'll say it again. I'm not ashamed.
I get it every time, Boom. And but whatever it is, I think you do leave the show. Even if you bookend it with Starfield, I think you do end the show with some type of moment like that. Whatever it is, I think Microsoft has so many deals in the works. Xbox has so many deals in the works right now that I think it's possible they could have come up with something big to do it on. And if it's Splinter Cell, my God, internet's going to absolutely explode. Everybody, it's done. It's end of the show. I saw on ILP. I mean, obviously the response that you got, Boom, when you said it was insane. So
yeah, you know what? It's funny. I got almost 100 followers that day on Twitter, which is freaking awesome. I mean, listen, I'm nobody, so that was pretty humbling to say the least. But I agree with you. Listen, I don't know what the deal is with Splinter Cell, but I will say this. Microsoft is in a position that they want to spend money.
Yes.
And with the TikTok deal and the Discord deal falling through, they were willing to drop tens of billions on these things.
Right.
Going to Ubisoft and saying, here is 5 Brinks trucks with lots of money in there to lock up an exclusive. Now, granted, I know that it was suggested that they would buy the IP, and I actually went with it, but that's not originally what I meant. I think what needs to happen, and I'm going to say this with the absolute most disrespect way I can say it, is they have to pull a Sony, and they have to tell the Sony players, if you want to play the next Splinter Cell for the next 24 months, either A, tough titty, the words of the great and late Richard Pryor, or B, you got to get an Xbox or be a part of Xbox Game Pass and play it on all the rigs that all of these Sony players have.
Correct.
And that is the way that they do it. And I think that you rub the fit. You listen. I know that this is disrespectful to say, and I normally don't act. like acting like this. But we have seen Sony do it time and time again, and I think it's time for Xbox to flex the money muscles that Sony does just not have. They do not have the money muscles. You're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger muscles to someone who's just off the street muscles. It's just there's no comparison, and that's when you compare the monies. So what they need to do, and what they absolutely have to do, is go after an IP that has been laid dormant for almost 8 years.
Right.
Let it come back in a big way and tell the world the only way you can play this is either on PC or on an Xbox or through Xbox Game Pass, and that's it. And they locked it up for 24 months.
Exactly. Boom. You are spot on. Both you and I are right there. We are the same mindset when it comes to this. So again, I know we're supposed to be just focused on the first party stuff. I apologize. I took us a little bit off road here, but I had to, just because it would be that moment of E3 that would be remembered for a very, very long time.
Yes.
And it's something that Microsoft and Xbox are now in the position to do, like you were just talking about, Boom, which they have not been in that position for a very long time, if ever. So that would be huge. So I think that's the way I would do it. As far as the middle goes, the stuff that we know about Flight Sim, obviously, we know that's coming. And now that we have pretty much confirmation, Psychonauts 2, that's going to be in there. Forza Horizon 5, I think, is the middle of the show in between Halo and Starfield. I think you again cover all your bases with the big 3 AAAs. I know I'm still on the hill that Starfield comes out this year, but even if it's not, that's your 3 big AAAs that everybody's been waiting for. And it lines up perfectly. You put Forza Horizon 5, Mexico in the middle, spot on.
I think you meant motorsports, sir.
Nope, I did not, Zemi. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Zemi shaving that beard, brother. Folks, we didn't know what he's talking about. He had a bet that if Forza Horizon releases this year, off goes the beard. Right. And unfortunately, I think he's going to have to do that.
Yep, exactly. For sure. I think that Wolfenstein will be there if it has been in the works, which we all have to believe, unless they're making something brand new that we are not aware of in any way, shape, or form. That Machine Games, with the announcement that they're going to be working on Indiana Jones, I think that something has to be close to being done, and it would only make sense that it is Wolfenstein 3. I definitely think that is something that will show up there. That's another huge game. But I think that you've got that in there as well. Obviously, then we've got Project Typhoon. And I know we're going to try to get to this, Boom, too, as far as a topic goes, as far as the purchase. To Project Typhoon that Jez has alluded to forever, we know now almost for certain, because so many people, insiders, big people around the industry have talked about that this is by Avalanche Studios. And that Avalanche Studios is probably the next purchase. And the one that could be announced. So I'm including this in the first party, because if they talk about this and they're going to talk about the purchase, and then they're going to talk about their game that they're working on, and that's that Project Typhoon game, a third-person game. Colt gave a little bit more information than I had heard from anywhere else on his XNC cast last week. He talked about, or on Monday night, I should say, he talked about that he believes that, well, from what he's heard, that you're not going to be the good guys in this game. So that would rule out another Just Cause, because we all know Avalanche's studios is well known for their Just Cause. But he said you're not going to be playing. He alluded that you're not going to be playing as the good guys in this one. So if that. It's possible with all the IP purchases, rumors that have been going around, that this is a part of one of those IPs that they've bought. So we'll have to wait and see, but I definitely think we hear about that. We hear about Project Omen from Avalanche. Again, Boom, you and I had some big discussions. Again, thank you for the shout out at ILP, because we talked about this on Xbox Factor Podcast, that this, my belief is that Omen is definitely a clue, that they did not name that just out of the blue, Omen, because it does have to do with vampires. So we're talking about Blood Omen, Legacy of Kain, whether it's a spiritual successor or whether they have actually worked out a deal with Square Enix to get, to make a game based on the IP, which they do own, the Legacy of Kain. For all of us older gamers out there, it is one of those near and dear to our hearts. Love the Legacy of Kain. It would be huge to either have a new one or just a spiritual successor in some way to that game. Man, I can't wait to hear about this Project Omen. And then I think we definitely get something from Obsidian. Now, Avowed has been downplayed, that they're not going to show it here. I think we get a Grounded update for sure. I know not people is going to love that, but I definitely think that they have some big plans for Grounded. So I think we're going to hear about that. And then I think we either do get a snippet of new Avowed or something else they're working on, because we know Obsidian has somewhere, they could have 4 projects in the works right now between Grounded, Avowed, and maybe possibly 2 others, a third one for sure. So I think we might get a teaser for one of those new ones if they don't show Avowed in there. And then I think we also get a teaser from either one or both of In Exile and Compulsion. I think more likely we see something from In Exile as a teaser, much like Obsidian did with Avowed. They've been working on their game for quite a long time. Phil has talked about it, that he was excited what In Exile had going on there, and I think it's time that we see like a little teaser like we did with Avowed.
We could get an announcement for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And then I think, they obviously do a montage of the smaller games, the indies, 12 Minutes, Tunic, Scorn, Stalker 2, Crossfire X, all deserve some spotlight time, especially if they're still launching this year, which we have no reason to believe that they're not at some point going to be coming out this year. So I think we definitely see something from them. And then obviously you're rounded out with the third-party stuff. Battlefield, we know, is going to be a major player on this stage. We're going to get gameplay for Battlefield, and I'm so freaking hyped. I cannot wait. I know a lot of people have different thoughts on that, but as far as an old Battlefield guy, I cannot wait to see some gameplay. And then, a surprise, Uplay Plus coming into Game Pass. Being a part of it, that would be huge. That would be huge. So that's my rundown.
Well, listen, that's a fantastic show. If it doesn't happen like that, then shame on Microsoft. They should hire you for sure. VJ, let's get your opinion on this. Obviously the significance and importance of start, middle, and finish is something that is probably weighing on everyone at Redmond right now. Obviously the show is done, and they understand the significance of what they're going to show us. Where do you fall on start, middle, and finish, and what are you expecting them to show?
I'm pretty relaxed, to be honest with you, Boom. I think the narrative that I wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping. I think the narrative, and I think it needs to be addressed, the narrative that Xbox has no games is long in the tooth, and I think the narrative has evolved with so many studios and teams and second party relationships and, sort of supplementing first party output. Why is there a lack of promotional visibility? And perhaps this is the E3 Phil earmarked all those years ago as to when Xbox comes of age or finally announces itself full on and center stage. Although it perhaps might just be a digital showing, but when it comes to first party content, I think that no longer do Xbox gamers have to sort of reside in limbo, waiting endlessly for hope to finally materialize, and just sort of having to feast themselves on whispers and something that's perhaps forthcoming, right, from in terms of speculation. And this show, perhaps, we can all finally leave purgatory, and we're all aboard Noah's Ark. And perhaps Game Pass is Noah's Ark going forward. Who knows? And at the same time, and for a long period of time, we've also been observing and discussing on the show the impact of last year's events and the inadvertent effects it's had on small, medium, and large developers and publishers. There's no question there. So I would say that perhaps, we should be a little considerate, understanding, humane, and civil in our approach before many undoubtedly will totally lose the plot if the showcase isn't as extravagant or tantalizingly hypnotic as one might have hoped. I think that for me, as I said, I'm really relaxed from everything that I'm kind of seeing happen right now. But I would like to see a roadmap specifically regarding the imminent and near future releases. That would be great if even if trailers aren't available, somewhat like when Marvel sort of showcases upcoming phases and slates of movies and TV shows with all the brands on screen for everyone to sort of plainly see. So they've got something to hold on to and an understanding of what's forthcoming. And for me, it's everything is kind of dovetails with Game Pass. I've made my sort of positive and sort of adversarial or non-conformist observations pretty clear. I've given my perspective on Game Pass as an individual consumer, and also from his perspective as a united community and how we should look at it, right? And things that need to be addressed. For me, it's all about quality and diversity over quantity, and falling into the realms of mediocrity. That's the trap Xbox have to avoid now and long term. And I spoke of this even last year. I can sit here and sort of guess in terms of, or perhaps even suggest what Xbox should do or could do. I mean, it's all good fun, right? At the end of the day, for me, whatever Phil does should be aligned with Game Pass. As long as you don't diminish or dilute the hope and possibility of what Game Pass represent and the values it was founded upon, I'm all good. But besides Game Pass, sort of evolving or doubling down on it in terms of content, I think I'm with Pong here that Halo should definitely have a far more welcoming coming out, should we say, or coming out party this time around compared to last year. And on top of that, I think everything is a bonus. It's a huge title boom to come out this quarter. If I was a publisher, I wouldn't want to go up against it. And if you're asking me for the one game to shine, I got to remain consistent with logical thought in tow. Given the amount of money that's been paid, given some of the hints that we've had, I'd expect, for me personally, obviously, as a selfish request, is that without hesitation, it'd have to be Starfield. I hope it's a game for me, and if not, that's fine too. It will surely find an audience, if not appeal to the masses, if in the tens of millions, I guess, in terms of an audience. And for me, it's all about Xbox looking to maintain their position and heading towards the top. And in order to do that, expectations need to always be higher than where they are today, and that's just the way business is. You have to drive forward. You have to have a dream, otherwise, how we have a dream come true. And I feel Phil has done exactly that, and he's done that, and always pursued a higher goal that perhaps isn't attainable. And I think he's done that in order to get Xbox in the position it is in today. And as I said before in some of the early topics, we can't see what's going on exactly behind the scenes, and I have to believe that Xbox will do something special, especially as they are making up for lost ground and time is something that's not always on your side, and you need a bit of luck as well, and you need your studios to step up, and you need your management team to step up, and it's not all on him. Do I want Phil to show us Xbox are at the peak of their powers or potentially reaching their peak? Of course, yes. But at the same time, I'm understanding and very, very relaxed. This is, and there is nothing that I have seen or heard that suggests any sort of cause for concern. And I would just say, everyone, please sit back and look forward to the show.
Yeah, well, great stuff as always. In closing out this particular topic, N64 Josh, what do you open with? What do you close with? What do you plaster in the middle? And what else would you show if you were wearing the Phil Spencer pants?
Okay, I hope you guys are ready for this. I'm going to go as quickly as possible. So let's start the show with the 20th anniversary of Xbox, showcase some of the, the history, the ups, the downs, and then games like Crimson Skies, Mech Assault. I even threw in Brute Force just because, just it needs a little love.
Absolutely, 100%.
Right? From that, give us a new game from one of those IPs. I would be over the moon. Or maybe some kind of collection or whatever. My biggest thing is I just want to play Crimson Skies online. Okay, I've said it. That's what I want. Moving right into what's going to happen with Nintendo. Cloud games on Switch, Master Chief Collection, Rare Replay, Master Chief and Smash. Could we finally see GoldenEye? It's done. It's ready to go. Maybe. New Banjo game? Is there something that comes out on the Switch and the Xbox? Possibly. From there, get into games that we know are coming. Halo, the multiplayer, the beta announcement. maybe an update on Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade, State of Decay 3, Forza Horizon 5, sorry, Zemi, Everwind, Avowed, Game Pass, right? Moving right into Game Pass. What are we going to see for third party, first party? Battlefield, we know we're going to get something from them. Hollow Knight, finally. Cuphead, any kind of an update there? Grounded. Moving on into Bethesda, maybe we see, and this kind of ties into Game Pass, maybe some more classic games make their way to Game Pass. Fallout Shelter 2, everybody wants that, right? Starfield, Indiana Jones game, Wolfenstein 3. Did I say it right?
Yes, I think you did.
And then finishing off the show with some new games and acquisitions, maybe that Rise 2 that we've kind of been hoping and wanting. I like what Pong said about Splinter Cell and something like that. If the show somewhat, if I hit some of these guesses, I'm gonna be, even if I hit half of them, I'm gonna be stoked, and it's gonna be a great show.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And I think everybody's been really on point. This has been a fantastic 2-hour show. I hope everyone enjoyed it, folks. We had almost 600 people here. We had a lot of new viewers, at least by some of the names I don't recognize. If you are new to this show, of course, I want to say thank you for taking the time. Hopefully you enjoyed yourself enough to do two things. One, hit the like button because it helps more than you know. And more importantly, consider subscribing to Double Barrel Gaming. And as we get close, once we hit 10K, folks, Mrs. Boomstick and I are doing something unbelievably special. It's called the 10K giveaway, and we are giving away 2 monster prizes. One is an Xbox Series X with a year of Xbox Game Pass, and the runner-up prize, not too shabby, an Xbox Series S with, yes, 1 year of Xbox Game Pass. So you say, how do I get in on this? Well, I normally don't like doing this because people sub just to win and they don't sub for the content, and that's disappointing. But the way that we're doing it for this particular contest is all you have to do is be subscribed to the channel, and that is it. And it's that simple. So if you're not subscribed and you want incredible content, and I think you should have, you should subscribe to, of course, Double Barrel Gaming. I would honestly greatly appreciate it because we work really hard here to bring you the best content possible, and this upcoming week is going to be incredible. So of course we hope that you join, and listen, let's get to the outros, folks. Let's get to the outros, and obviously Zemi, let's start with you, brother. First of all, you're going to be a part of a lot of these upcoming shows. Tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, check out your site.
Yeah, absolutely. So the site constantgamer.com, it is actually undergoing some changes, and I'll definitely have more updates for that, later on as those changes are being implemented. But for the meantime, you guys can find me on Twitter. I actually have 2 Twitter accounts. The first one is constant_gamers. And the second one is my personal account, which is just at Zimmy Games. And then I also have a YouTube channel. It's called Constant Gamer. On that YouTube channel, we post a bunch of gaming related content, theories, news videos, reviews, let's plays, just all sorts of gaming content. So if that's your type of thing, check out the channel, subscribe, and watch some content. Boom, man, fantastic show as always. Super happy that I was able to join today and talk about E3. And I'll be watching the show, and I can't wait to jump on a show next week and give my I guess my grade, if you will. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, brother. Definitely appreciate you being here. N64 Josh, you got a lot going on. You're going to be joining me on, of course, the Nintendo program. Tell everyone about where they could check out your incredible Twitch content, where they could look at your YouTube channel and reach out to you on social media.
So yeah, everywhere is N64Josh. I got N64Josh.com, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, you name it. I'm there. TikTok. And I've also got the Xbox Now channel that's recently started on YouTube. And we have the site xboxnow.tv that is slowly getting articles, and I'm slowly building a team of writers. And it's a good time. So the Xbox Now podcast is happening every Wednesday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, and it's about a 30 to 40-minute show where we look at about 3 topics and kind of break them down real quick. And then I also host the Nintendo Powercast, which is it's so close to its 1 millionth download. We're slowly.
Oh, nice, dude!
Slowly
Congratulations on that.
So, yeah, it's been going on. It's been, the show's 4 years old, so it's been a lot of fun.
Well, listen, it's great to have you a part of today's program, brother. Thank you so much. And Pong Soul, brother, you are here, there, and everywhere. Tell everyone what shows you're going to be on, what you're going to be doing for E3, where can people reach out to you on social media, and what you got going on Saturday mornings.
Absolutely, Boom. Hey, first of all, Gary Duddle, good friend of the show, member of your show here, Boom. He had a great idea. When you hit 10K, can we get a cancel Zemi emoji as well? Can we get that?
That sounds fantastic.
I support that as well.
I think it'd be fantastic. But no, great show, Boom. Awesome to be here with all these amazing panel members. Again, love you all. Chat, you guys were absolutely incredible. Nearly 600 people. That is ridiculous. Love to see it. The E3 hype is real, guys. You can find me, Pong Soul, everywhere. And then, as Boom alluded to, I'm going to be, this is going to be a crazy weekend here. I've got real life work, but man, I'm trying to make things happen. But anyways, you can find me tomorrow night on the Xbox Ultimate with Fun Speculation, aka Mav, his beautiful wife Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. Obviously, we're going to be in full E3 swing, so check us out there, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. Saturday morning, E3. Man, this is going to be great. Living split screen, all one word. Myself and Steel Rain. We are going to be live 9 a.m. Eastern time, or 9 a.m. Central time, 10 a.m. Eastern time, and that is going to be crazy. We are going to be giving all of our predictions that day, and then Saturday night I'll be on the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam.
Nice.
Centurion, Stagorilla, yeah, absolutely, and Fuzzy Belvedere, and then obviously Sunday, you're going to be able to catch myself and Steel Rain. We're doing a living split screen Xbox Ultimate mashup for coverage of E3 for the Xbox event, so you can catch us there. I know everybody's doing shows; it's going to be insane. Steel Rain and I will also be doing nightly recaps each day going forward. Probably after, we might want to do one tonight on Games Fest. So find us there. Otherwise, I'll be back next Tuesday. I know I wasn't here for this Tuesday, but I'll be back on the Xbox Factor podcast with Mr. BoomStick. I don't know, Zemi, are you going to be here this next Tuesday or not, bud?
Yes, he'll be there.
Yes, awesome. And 3-Bit is joining the crew. My brother from another 3-Bit is going to be there. Going to be awesome on Tuesday. But yeah, just keep an eye out. I got something else lined up for Saturday as well. I don't know if it's been officially announced. I don't think it has, but definitely keep your eyes open. I'll be everywhere as much as possible. So again, appreciate it. Love you all. Thank you. E3, Christmas is here, gamers. Enjoy it. The golden age of gaming is upon us.
Well, thank you so much, brother. Definitely appreciate that. And of course, VJ, why don't you tell us about what you got going on? I'm sure you got a lot going on as well. And of course, we appreciate you being here.
Sure.
Talk about it, brother.
First of all, Boo, I'm not quite sure I was quite in the realm of accuracy when answering your questions today, and I'm sorry about that, because I know you put in a tremendous amount of effort, right, putting these shows and show notes together, especially on a consistent basis. But yeah, I think I'm on a couple of shows. I think I'm with you on Sunday if there's still space, and also be on.
Yes.
I'll also be on Stubbs Gaming later on in the day, and yeah, you know me, Boom. It happens often when I find myself on the popular side of thoughts, right? I always try to give a counter view or standing on the opposite side, right? Just to help kick the tires of popular thinking. So again, thanks very much.
Well, thank you for being here, brother. And listen, before we get on out of here, I got to thank a bunch of people. First of all, we got a ridiculous amount of new channel members. Kevin Pearson in the chat has become a member of Double Barrel Gaming. Thank you so much for that. Fork Boy Gaming, and we know that guy. He hangs out with Wilmy Hood and the crew. Thank you, Fork Boy. Definitely appreciate you becoming a channel member once again. And John B has become a channel member again. Definitely appreciate that. And of course, we have some super chats that have come in. Gerald Gerald Mack dropped several, a total of 3 more. First one is $5. He says, with all the new studio acquisitions, Microsoft and Xbox are really playing big bank, take little bank. It's not a closable gap. Hashtag sleeping giant. Indeed. He drops another one for $2 and says, he said it, Wolfenstein. Yes, he did. And Gerald Mack drops another one. Remember, Ubisoft said that they had a big surprise for their show, which is the day before Microsoft's show. That surprise might, in fact, be Splinter Cell. And Chuck Eagle. Hey, man, I never saw the name. I hope that you enjoyed enough to subscribe to the channel. He drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says, excited to be able to watch E3 with my favorite podcaster, Boom. Thank you for that. That's very kind of you. My E3 predictions is you'll be over 10K subs by the end of the E3. Keep up the great work. Well, dude, that is extremely kind of you. And from your mouth to the gaming god's ears. But listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in, hanging out with us for 2+ hours. And we hope that you enjoy E3 as much as we are. And stay tuned to the channel for all of the updates. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow morning on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom, where we're going to break down Jeff Keighley's event that goes live in literally under an hour. And of course, I'll close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone, and we'll see you next week on the newest episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.